It's about 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, and it's a little cool outside, but supposedly the weather is going to change by midday. So I'm excited about that. There are a lot of stories that are happening, and one of the things that I wanted to start off with first is the story about immigrants supposedly being pitched as a TV show, like a reality show for fast-tracked citizenship. I made a video, excuse me, last night, and I was appalled by hearing this story. Apparently, it's in the Daily Beast, and I don't even know what to say. I have no words. But apparently, this show is being pitched to the Department of Homeland Security, I think Kristi Noem's office, and that they are considering this sort of proposal. I think it has been received. Let's just put it that way. Anyone who would pitch this, I think, has some serious internal issues because that's basically making money off of someone else's trouble, right? Someone else's hardship. Someone who's trying to become a citizen does not mean that they have to go through challenges on a reality TV show to get that citizenship. And it just reminds me of how much. People might believe that immigrants are here to be toyed with or to be entertainment for a lot of people. So if you see this article from the Daily Beast, this is kind of like the lowest of the low, right? Knowing that people are trying to get citizenship, but making it a game when you know it's not a game. Hey, Vivian, how are you? It is a good Friday. How is your Friday going? I think that there are so many stories that we can't ever cover them all in the morning. I just like to run down some of the headlines, run down some of the stuff that happened overnight, and just kind of give you an overview. There are some buttons on here that I actually have never. Oh my God, you guys, I never knew there was a retouch button. Do you see? Oh my God, look at that. Okay. Oh, you're gonna have dinner soon. Well, enjoy your dinner. I'm going to show you some of the headlines that I pulled up that I think were worthy of covering. And this was one of the first ones because we know that this man has had some really poor ratings, right? Doge has never been one of the more popular programs that we have seen come through this administration, partially because they didn't do their due diligence. They kind of rammed through agencies that they were not supposed to be touching and had some staffers that were pretty young, unqualified, and dangerous to be in these sort of situations unsupervised. But this headline from the Daily Beast says Doge's fraud tracker at Social Security turns into a massive self-own. And it says here that the Department, oh, that's so bizarre. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so it says here, the Department of Government Efficiency suggested that just 2 out of 110,000 calls to the Social Security Administration this spring had a high probability of being fraudulent. That's a far cry from the 40% figure that was parroted by MAGA in recent months, including by Doge's recently departed leader, Elon Musk. I don't remember him being departed. Okay, so I know that they have kind of said that there was what's her name? Gleason. Miss Gleason was supposed to be over Doge, but we have yet to hear from Miss Gleason. So I'm not quite sure who is running it right now, but 2 out of 110,000 calls is not 40%. So the amount of efficiency that they're trying to create within all of these government departments versus the sort of reported or anticipated fraud or waste or abuse that they said they would find is not matching up. 2 out of 110,000. I think somebody said that was like 0.0018 or some sort of percentage like this. So you can do the math. So what are your thoughts about what was projected versus what actually is? Because it's almost like when people say there's so much election fraud, people are voting that are dead, and then people go in to do the audits and they're like, yeah, no, we didn't find that. So it's like screaming, what is it, like crying wolf? And then once somebody cries wolf too many times, like, the fire engine doesn't come for you anymore. This is how I feel about Doge. All of their sort of projections of fraud are not coming to fruition. And if they were, we would be seeing charges. We would be seeing people trotting out these sort of we have found 5,000 people who committed fraud, and we have now since charged them, and they will be taken to court and prosecuted. We would see these sort of statements out of the DOJ to corroborate what he's been saying, but we're not seeing that. The one says was going to start gooning. I can't even understand what you're saying, but it does remind me of the movie Goonies. Do you guys remember the movie Goonies? I love Goonies. And I think that when we think about our favorite 80s or 90s movies, that's one of my tops. Another one was Adventures in Babysitting. Feel free to drop your favorite 80s movie in the comments. All right, here's another one. This is Russia and Ukraine agreed to a prisoner swap and discussed ceasefire during talks, Ukrainian delegation says. So this, like, I would say that's a good thing. A prisoner swap is always good if you're getting back your people. Now, it looks like there were a lot of people there, but it also goes into say Zelensky says Putin was afraid to come to Turkey for the ceasefire talks. Now, a lot of people, they often think that Putin is going to show up and he's going to, say whatever he needs to say in order to get by and blah, blah, blah. I don't think he's showing up ever. I don't think he wants peace. And a lot of people try to say that Zelensky doesn't want peace. But Zelensky's the one that's showing up. So who do you believe? Who do you believe? I know that it is beneficial for everybody to stop fighting. Let me see here in the comments. Leo, the cool guy, would you rather see the tree grow or a knee grow? No, please do not use those kinds of, how would we say, insensitive jokes in my live stream. I know you think you're clever. I know you think you're clever, but things like that get our channel flagged for things that it shouldn't be flagged for. So I hope that when you try to make these comments or create different profiles to come on the live stream and make comments like this, that you are very aware that live streams need to be out here for us to have conversation. And this is an interesting one because a lot of people think that if this ceasefire happens, Putin will break the ceasefire. And I know that with this sort of agreement, they've had this before. And he has this sort of pattern, Putin, of agreeing and then breaking his promises. Take a moment to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you're watching on the replay, take a moment to subscribe and also like the live stream so that more people can have this come into their sort of suggested feed. Let's go to another article here. This is about James Comey. Do you remember James Comey? Okay, so this is Trump administration officials say Secret Service is investigating Comey's 8647 social media post. Now, this is something that I immediately remembered from high school, okay? 86, I graduated in 96. Okay, so that was our slogan, 86 in 96, which was like, we're out of here. Okay, so we were all using this phrase, this sort of slogan. And a lot of people say 86 when you potentially can, what is it called? Get 86 from a restaurant or from a bar or whatever. You're thrown out, you're not coming back, right? And this is what I believe he's trying to say, 8647, like get him out of there, right? But now the Secret Service is investigating Comey's tweet or whatever for saying 8647. Now, anybody who has ever heard 86 knows that you're not talking about killing people. Okay, we're not talking about that. So the fact that they would be investigating him is a little trite. It's a little bit beyond what normal people would do. Okay. But they don't like James Comey. Absolutely not. So of course they're going to investigate him. And I think as of this morning, he removed his tweet because he didn't think anything of it. And neither should they. That's my personal opinion. Vivian said nothing did come out positive today. No, nothing did. And I just think that, like, I don't think anything ever will when it comes to these talks with Russia. I do want to talk about this because I don't think that enough people have been talking about driverless cars. Okay, if you have been in a Waymo, drop in the comments and tell me your experience with driverless cars. If you have a mode on your car where you can turn into this sort of driverless mode, not cruise control. I mean, like driverless, like you don't even have to brake, that kind of thing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this, because Waymo recalled more than 1,200 automated vehicles after minor crashes. Now, obviously, they're saying minor. I'm not sure what minor means to Waymo. Maybe it's like they hit a curb, or maybe they backed into a pole, or something like this. But crashed into what? That's my main concern. What are they crashing into? Another car? Are they crashing into a person? Was it in the grocery store parking lot where they crashed into a cart? Like, what do they mean by minor crashes, right? Either way, they recalled these cars because I think in this story, they talked about fixing a software defect. You can see right here, due to a software defect. And it seems like that would be one of the biggest issues with any sort of driverless car. Is the program up to date? Has it been updated? Are there any bugs? Because when humans are driving cars, we have our own sort of things that are going on in the car. Are we awake? Did we put our seatbelt on? Are we aware of our surroundings? Is it a cold, foggy day, and did we, do our windshield wiper, wiping down? Is it snowy? Do we have visibility, right? So we are automatically, as humans, we have our own issues when we are driving. Are we doing our makeup in the car? Like, do we have our music too loud? Do we have headphones on? Are we paying too much attention to our kids in the back seat? Versus a Waymo that doesn't have those sort of distractions, but does have to rely on the program, right? So this is something where I think that where humans have their own sort of distractions, Waymos, if they're not, or just driverless cars, right? They have their own issues when it comes to what is going to impact their ability to get you from point A to point B, regardless of the other drivers, right? Only the stuff that they can control. Okay, so it says the recall comes after a series of minor crashes with gates, chains, and obstacles in the road that did not result in any injuries. So this is what they're talking about, gates and chains. Okay, so if you think that a driverless car is seeing everything, maybe it's one of these. Like, have you ever gone to like a parking lot and maybe there's sort of like two poles and there's like a rope chain in between? That's what I'm thinking they're talking about, chains like that. Or gates that maybe aren't visible. I'm not sure what they mean, but either way, they did recall them. Tell me your experience if you've actually gotten in a Waymo, what it was like, if it was great, if it was not great. We'll see how this plays out because I don't know how many people are going to continue if they continue to have these sort of minor accidents. Hold on. I think I just clicked on the wrong article. Okay, so there are a few more things that I wanted to cover, and this is another one. Trump's big, beautiful bill includes a Ted Cruz proposal for $1,000 MAGA accounts for American babies. Now, we are not going to give people Medicaid, but yet we're going to set aside money for babies. Like, let's take care of the people who are actually existing, like actually here. This is one of the things that I just feel like when they create these bills and they try to set aside things that, for things that aren't people who aren't even in existence, I just think, gosh, Can't we not just take care of the things, and the people and the projects and all the things that we have going on right now? And I know a lot of people want to set aside things for the future. But sometimes people say to those who want to have babies, if you can't afford babies, you shouldn't have babies, right? And that sort of motto has been from a lot of right wing voices as well. But now we want to give these sort of MAGA accounts for people. Okay. So I don't know. It's almost like they want both sides of the coin. Don't have babies if you can't afford it, but we want to set aside money for you. Like, there's no sort of, I don't know, it doesn't jive for me. All this stuff doesn't jive for me. And I think that it's really important to just remember that a lot of it is just nonsense because it's just sort of filler proposal for things that we know are probably never going to happen. This is the one that I think is probably my favorite story of the day. And this says Northeastern college student demanded her tuition back after catching her professor using OpenAI's ChatGPT. Now, I think that this is a very important story because so many teachers have said you are not allowed, and it's like college university guidelines, do not use anything other than your brain, your resources from our libraries, blah, 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 to write your papers, to turn in your work. It must be original. You cannot plagiarize. You must not cheat, right? But getting caught as a professor, I think the story was something like the feedback that was given to students was AI generated. Like it was sort of proven that the teacher used, ChatGPT to write the feedback on their papers. Now, to me, I agree. If a teacher is not doing the work of actually reading the paper of the student and deciding to enter the student's paper, and I don't know if this is the exact thing that happened, but it sounds like put in the paper to ChatGPT and say, write a review or write feedback for this student. Why are we paying the teacher? Like, why are we paying the teacher for the teacher's expertise when really the feedback isn't even the teacher's expertise or feedback? It's ChatGPT's feedback. It just baffles my mind because there are so many people that are talking about how great AI is and how amazing it's going to be for people and create efficiency and blah blah blah. I am just like, yeah, give her money back. Because if she's paying this school good money for good education and the teachers are not providing the sort of quality feedback that she could have put her own paper into ChatGPT and gotten that same sort of feedback. You know what I'm saying? Like, are we not going to school for the instructors? Are we just going for this technology to do the work for the instructors? What is your opinion? Do you think instructors should be allowed to use ChatGPT to formulate feedback for student work? Because I don't know why we're paying the instructor then to ask AI to do the work for them. Now, if they're creating the feedback and they're asking Grammarly or they're asking some sort of fact checker to go through and make it sound a little nicer or the tone a little better or maybe a little more bulleted or something, the formatting, right? That I think is fine. But if you're asking it to do the actual feedback, I think that's a bridge too far for me. Now, when we think about this particular story, I want to bring this back up because I've talked about this before. The Wisconsin judge pleads not guilty to helping a man evade immigration agents. Now, in this story, the catch, right, is that her sort of entering into the record is that she is immune from prosecution because while she was in her courtroom, she was doing official acts. And she is citing the sort of immunity that the Supreme Court has given Donald Trump for when he is doing official acts as part of his job. It is very interesting because as this proceeds through the court system, it's like, you wanted that immunity. I'm going to use that immunity as my defense. And I so think she's gonna win. I so think she's gonna win because she's a judge, because she knows the law, and because she wasn't doing anything wrong according to her. So we shall see. What do you think? Do you think she's going to win this case? Because the fact that she's using Donald Trump's immunity case as part of her sort of reasoning behind why she wants this case to be dismissed, I think that says, it just speaks volumes. Anyways, these are just some of the stories that are happening. Today is Friday, and I know that a lot of stories kind of break on Friday night. Here's one of the ones that that I think a lot of people were waiting for. This was from Wednesday, and I forgot to get to it. From Aaron Rodgers' revenge to a Super Bowl rematch, the 10 must-watch grudge matches of the 2025 NFL season. And the reason this is important is because a lot of people watch football, and they just dropped the 2025 NFL season schedule. Are you a football fan? Let me know in the comments if you have a team. Who is your team? Do you think Kansas City will, appear in the Super Bowl again? Or do you think their time has come and passed? My family, for a long time, because we lived in the Bay Area, we're very much San Francisco 49er fans. Jerry Rice era, there are a lot of great players at San Francisco. And then I think my sister became a Wisconsin fan. My aunt has always been a Denver fan. So tell me your favorite teams in the comments. And if you've actually seen in this sort of upcoming match or upcoming season, which ones are the ones to watch? A few other stories that are really, really important are the Supreme Court hearing the historic arguments over birthright citizenship. And this was from yesterday. So kind of the takeaway of what happened yesterday is, while they're not exactly going into whether or not birthright citizenship is the actual thing that they're arguing at this level, they're arguing to the Supreme Court that lower courts cannot create a nationwide injunction for the entire country. Now, this is kind of what they're going back and forth with the Supreme Court. Excuse me. Now, in doing this, they are bringing up reasons for why, people who are in the country and have a child should not be given this sort of birthright citizenship just because they're here on vacation or whatnot. So they are kind of tackling a little bit of that, but this is not what they're deciding with this case. They're really just deciding if the lower courts can make a ruling and put an injunction or some sort of stay that affects all of the country. And in doing this, let's say they allow the Trump administration to win this particular argument, that a lower court cannot implement a nationwide sort of stay. Now, if they do that, that means that if it goes into effect in one part of the country but doesn't affect somebody, it almost has to, like, that person or persons, right, have to wait until it does affect them in order to sue. And so effectively, every single person, when it affects them, would have to get their own lawyer and sue whomever the entity is, the government, right? And then it almost is like, how many people can afford to do that? So in doing this, they would be affecting everyone. So I'm hoping that they do not win this at the Supreme Court level, because it would kind of what I think Sotomayor was saying, or maybe I'm not remembering from yesterday, but one of the justices was basically saying, like, it's a catch me if you can kind of situation. Like, the government knows the law, but they're gonna do something, and it's like, oh, but I did it. So it's almost like making the case of asking for forgiveness afterward instead of just following the law in the first place. And so they should just be following the law in the first place instead of, oh my gosh, this is what I did over here. Oh, were we wrong? Oh, well, it's too late now. That's what they've done with kind of the El Salvador movement of all of these people. They're kind of like, oh, that was wrong. Oh, well, it's too late now. Instead of, we should follow the law to begin with, because that's the oath that the president takes. That's the oath that all of the appointees take when they're approved through the Senate, that they will uphold the Constitution. Instead of, oh, I didn't know that was part of the Constitution. Well, so we just went ahead and did that anyway, right? So this is a very important case because it will create a lot of havoc for all of us as American citizens. So yeah, anyways, I hope that you have a really great day. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to my channel, take a moment, it's free. And also hit that little community tab, because I always say this, I always have a poll every single day. I'd love if you take my poll. Also, put some comments in there if you have any opinions about the poll and why you have either selected the answer that you have in that specific poll. I think today is what, the 15th? No, the 16th. If you haven't had a chance to take any of them, there's at least 16 polls for you to take in there. And I really want to know your opinion, because at the end of the month, I'm going to do a kind of a whole wrap up of what people believe to be the better answer on some of these polls. It's about AI. It's about the baby bonus. It's about, there's so many things about fashion, about entertainment. There's so many different polls. So take a moment to take the poll, and I will see you guys next week. I do these live streams Monday through Friday around 8:30 in the morning Pacific time, and have a great day. Bye, guys.